When Tyler Blake stood up at my daughter's company launch party and accused me of embezzling $50,000 from her business account, I didn't argue. I didn't shout. I simply pulled out my phone, opened a folder, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Tyler, or should I call you Derek Thornton? We need to talk about your real wife in Seattle, the 3 other women you're currently engaged to, and the $2.3 million you've stolen over the past 6 years." The gallery went silent. 150 guests, investors, clients, industry peers, all turned to stare. Tyler's face went white, but not with fear, with rage, a cold, calculating fury that told me I'd just made a terrible mistake. He stepped closer, voice dropping to a whisper only I could hear. "You think you've won, Garagos? You haven't seen anything yet." That's when I realized I'd underestimated him. But let me back up 6 months to explain how we got here. My name is Garagos Mark, and I'm a 62-year-old retired corporate lawyer living in Portland, Oregon. I've been divorced from my daughter Madison's mother, Ruth, for 15 years now, an amicable split that happened when Madison was finishing college. Ruth remarried a dentist and moved to Seattle, and we both stayed actively involved in our daughter's life. At my age, after 3 decades of deposing witnesses and hunting through corporate fraud, I thought I'd seen every kind of manipulation. I was wrong. Madison is my only child, and I'm prouder of her than I can express. At 32, she'd built a successful marketing consulting firm from scratch over 7 years, smart, driven, with her mother's creative vision and maybe some of my analytical thinking. She'd just secured venture capital funding to expand into a full-service agency, a dream she'd been working toward since graduate school. That's where Tyler Blake came in. Or at least, that's what he called himself. I met Tyler for the first time at Madison's birthday dinner. The moment he walked in, something felt off. Not anything I could articulate, just a lawyer's instinct after 30 years of reading people. Everything about him was perfect, too perfect. The tailored suit that fit just right, expensive but not ostentatious. The Rolex that caught the light but didn't scream for attention. The confidence in his handshake, the warmth in his smile, the way he pulled out Madison's chair before sitting down himself. "Mr. Mark, Madison's told me so much about you," he said, and his voice had that practiced smoothness of someone who'd rehearsed this moment. "Corporate law, right? That must have been fascinating work." "It had its moments," I said, watching him. "Madison tells me you're an entrepreneur?" "Serial entrepreneur, really." Tyler leaned back, comfortable. "Sold my first company in 2018, TechFlow Solutions. We did B2B software integration. Small acquisition, only $2.7 million, but enough to teach me the ropes of building and scaling." "Impressive. Which firm acquired you?" "DataSync Corp. You can probably find the coverage on TechCrunch if you search for it." "You can probably find it." I noted the phrasing. Not, "I'll send you the link," or "Here, let me show you." Specific enough to sound authentic, vague enough to discourage verification. "And now?" I asked. "Looking for my next venture. Actually, I've been helping Madison with strategy for her expansion. She's brilliant, but there's a learning curve to scaling that I've already been through." Madison beamed at him, her hand finding his on the table. "Tyler's been amazing, Dad. He really gets the vision." I asked more questions about his previous companies, his business partners, his background. Every answer was smooth, practiced, pivoting gracefully away from concrete details. When I pressed about specific investors or board members, he'd redirect to broader strategy discussions. "Dad, can you not interrogate my boyfriend at my birthday dinner?" Madison said, laughing, but there was an edge to her voice. I backed off. She was an adult. She'd always had excellent judgment, and maybe I was being an overprotective father, seeing threats where none existed. But as Tyler excused himself to take a phone call, I leaned toward Madison. "Sweetheart, how much do you actually know about him?" "Enough." Her tone cooled. "We've been dating 2 months. I'm not an idiot, Dad." "I didn't say you were. I'm just saying, you're saying you don't trust my judgment. I'm saying I don't know him. There's a difference." Tyler returned before she could answer, and the conversation moved on. But the tension lingered. Later that night, alone in my study, I couldn't shake the feeling. I opened my laptop and searched TechFlow Solutions, DataSync Acquisition 2018. The acquisition existed, the details matched Tyler's story, but the founder's name was listed only as T. Blake. No first name, no photos clear enough to verify identity. The company's LinkedIn page had been deleted. The press release used stock photos. It could all be legitimate. Small acquisitions often had sparse documentation, or it could be carefully constructed background noise, real enough to pass casual scrutiny, vague enough to hide behind. I closed the laptop, telling myself I was being paranoid. I should have trusted my instincts. Tyler moved fast. Within a month of the birthday dinner, he'd essentially moved into Madison's downtown loft. My lease ended, he'd explained when I asked, and we were spending every night together anyway. By May, he was attending Madison's business meetings. Just helping with strategy, she said when I expressed concern over coffee. He has experience scaling startups that I don't. The red flags multiplied, but each one had a reasonable explanation. Tyler introduced Madison to a business lawyer friend who could help structure the partnership agreements for her expansion. Save on legal fees, he suggested. Joshua's top-notch and owes me a favor. He convinced her to add him as a signatory on her business accounts. Just for cash flow management during the expansion, you'll be traveling for investor meetings. You need someone who can approve urgent payments. He started subtly creating distance between Madison and anyone who questioned him. After I'd expressed concerns about mixing business and romance, Tyler mentioned to Madison, "Your dad seems a little protective. It's understandable. Lawyers are trained to be skeptical. I'm sure he'll come around." Those comments were genius. They framed my concerns as overprotectiveness rather than legitimate warnings. They made Madison defensive on Tyler's behalf. In early June, I saw them at a coffee shop downtown. I'd stopped in for my usual morning espresso when I spotted Tyler in the corner, deep in conversation with a woman I didn't recognize. They were reviewing documents, speaking intensely. The woman wore a wedding ring with a visible engraving I couldn't quite read. I took a photo on my phone, discreetly, feeling slightly ridiculous. When I mentioned it to Madison later, she laughed it off. That was Elise, Tyler's former business partner from his Seattle days. They're just settling final paperwork from when he sold his stake in their joint venture. Reasonable explanation, but the woman's body language hadn't looked like settling paperwork. It looked like confrontation. By late June, Tyler had positioned himself as Madison's de facto business partner. He attended investor meetings, reviewed financial statements, and had his name on legal documents, all unofficial, all presented as helping. I tried one more time over coffee in early July. "Madison, I think you should have an independent attorney review any documents before you sign them." "Dad, I'm not stupid. I know what I'm doing." "I'm not saying you're stupid. I'm saying that mixing business and romance is complicated. There's a reason most people keep them separate." "Tyler believes in me. He's helping me achieve my goals. Why can't you just be happy for me?" "I am happy for you. I just want you to be careful. You don't trust him. I don't know him. And what I do know raises questions." She set down her coffee cup, her expression hardening. "You know what I think? I think you can't stand seeing me with someone who actually supports my ambitions. You're used to being the only man I rely on, and now that's changing. That's not fair. Isn't it?" She stood up. "Tyler warned me you might do this, said sometimes parents struggle when their kids become independent." "Tyler said that? I have to go. I have a meeting." She left me sitting there, and it was the first time in our lives that my daughter had walked away from me angry. Tyler was skilled, very skilled, and he was winning. I couldn't let it go. Every instinct I'd honed over 30 years of legal practice screamed that something was wrong. I started with basic searches. Tyler Blake's LinkedIn profile had been created in 2019. Not unusual, but all his previous employment history listed vague titles at companies that had either been acquired or shut down. His Facebook had photos going back only to 2020. His Instagram was similar. I called an old colleague, Detective James Foster, who'd left the Portland PD 5 years ago to start a private investigation firm. "James, I need a background check. Discreet. My daughter can't know." "What am I looking for?" "Anything that doesn't add up." It took him 2 weeks. When he called me back, his voice was grave. "Garagos, this guy is either a ghost or he's running a false identity." "Explain." "Credit history appears in 2019. Before that, nothing. No traffic tickets, no court records, no rental history. Social media all starts around the same time. It's like Tyler Blake didn't exist before 5 years ago. People can have clean records." Not this clean. Everyone has something, a speeding ticket, a parking violation, hell, even just a job reference that goes back more than 5 years. This guy? Nothing. So what does that mean? Either he's using a purchased identity, there's a black market for that, or Tyler Blake isn't his real name. I sat with that information for 2 days, trying to figure out my next move. If Tyler was using a false identity, that was a crime. But I had no proof of why. Maybe he was running from debt, from an ex-wife, from something that wasn't necessarily Madison's problem. Then, I made a mistake. I called an old friend who worked in the FBI's white-collar crime division. Catherine Wells and I had collaborated on several corporate fraud cases during my legal career. Catherine, I need a favor, unofficial. Garagos, I don't do unofficial. I think my daughter's boyfriend is using a false identity. I need you to run his information. There was a long pause. What exactly are you alleging? I don't know yet. That's what I'm trying to find out. I can't just run background checks because you have a bad feeling about your daughter's boyfriend. Give me something concrete, evidence of a crime. The false identity? Possible false identity. People change their names legally all the time. Has he stolen money? Has he committed fraud that you have evidence of? Not yet, but not yet isn't enough for FBI involvement. If you suspect fraud, go to local police. If you have evidence of interstate crime, come back to me. But I can't help you with hunches, Garagos. I'm sorry. I hung up, frustrated. What I didn't know, what I wouldn't learn until later, was that my call to the FBI had triggered a flag in their system, and someone had noticed, someone who warned Tyler that he was being investigated. 2 days later, Tyler called me. Garagos, we need to talk. It's serious. That's when everything changed. Tyler's call came at 7 in the morning. I was in my kitchen, making coffee, when my phone buzzed with his number. Garagos, we need to talk. It's about Madison's business. Something serious has come up. His voice was friendly but firm, the tone of someone delivering bad news they'd rather avoid. What kind of serious? Better if we meet in person. Are you free this morning? Say 9 o'clock at the coffee shop near your place? Every alarm bell in my head went off. Tyler had never called me directly before, had never suggested a private meeting. This was calculated. I'll be there, I said. I arrived 15 minutes early, positioning myself where I could watch the entrance. Tyler walked in exactly at 9, carrying a manila folder thick with documents. He ordered a black coffee, no sugar, no cream, and sat down across from me. Thanks for meeting, he said, sliding the folder across the table. I hate having to bring this to you, but Madison asked me to look into some irregularities in the business accounts. I opened the folder. Inside were bank statements, ledgers, transfer records, all professionally formatted, highlighted in yellow where discrepancies appeared. What am I looking at? $50,000 has gone missing from the business account over the past 3 months. Tyler pointed to highlighted rows. Several large withdrawals that can't be accounted for in the company's expenses or payroll. I scanned the documents. The transfers were real, or at least they looked real. Dates, amounts, routing numbers, all present. Where did the money go? I asked. Tyler pulled out another document. This one made my blood run cold. To your personal account, Garagos. The paper showed my account number, my name, transfer authorizations that appeared to carry my digital signature. That's impossible. I don't have access to Madison's business accounts. Actually, you do. Tyler's expression was perfectly crafted sympathy. Madison added you as a secondary signatory back in March, right after she secured the venture funding. She wanted you to be able to help if anything happened to her. Emergency situations, that kind of thing. He slid another document across. Sure enough, it showed Madison's signature on an authorization form, dated March 15th, notarized, adding me as a secondary account holder. I didn't remember signing anything, but the document looked legitimate. Proper legal formatting, notary seal, everything in order. These transfers, Tyler continued, tapping the highlighted sections, they all used your authorization code, your digital signature. Look, Garagos, I don't want to believe you'd steal from your own daughter. I've been trying to find another explanation for 3 days. I never made these transfers. Someone's fabricating this. The bank confirmed them. I checked myself. My mind raced. If the bank confirmed them, then someone had done a sophisticated job of creating false evidence. Authorization codes, digital signatures, those weren't easy to fake. Why are you bringing this to me instead of to Madison? Tyler leaned back, his coffee untouched. Because I care about her, and because I understand that good people sometimes make bad choices when they're desperate. Retirement isn't always financially comfortable, is it? Legal practice drying up? Personal debts mounting? I don't have financial problems. Then help me understand. Because right now the evidence is pretty damning. I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw it clearly for the first time. This wasn't about stolen money. This was a setup, a sophisticated, carefully planned setup designed to remove me from Madison's life. You created all of this, I said quietly. Tyler's expression didn't change. That's quite an accusation. Can you prove it? Not yet. Then here's what's going to happen. His voice dropped, losing all pretense of sympathy. The launch party is in 3 days. I'm going to propose to Madison that night, in front of all her investors, her clients, everyone who matters in her professional life. Make it official. He let that sink in before continuing. After that, we'll finalize the new partnership documents that my lawyer friend has been preparing, the ones that restructure the company ownership. Everything will be legal, everything will be proper, and within 6 months I'll have what I need and move on to my next opportunity. You're going to drain her company. I'm going to take what I've earned. Madison trusts me. She loves me. She'll sign whatever I put in front of her because she believes I'm invested in her success. Why are you telling me this? Tyler smiled. It was the first genuine expression I'd seen from him, cold, satisfied, almost admiring of his own cleverness. Because you can't stop me. If you try to warn Madison, she won't believe you. I've already laid the groundwork, the controlling father who can't let go, who's jealous of her success, who resents being replaced in her life. She'll think you're making up conspiracy theories. And if I go public with this embezzlement evidence, then I'll have no choice but to expose you first. I'll do it at the party, announce the theft in front of everyone, with documentation that will hold up in court, at least long enough to destroy her business reputation. Investors will pull out, clients will flee, her company will collapse under the scandal. He stood up, straightening his suit jacket. You have until the party to decide how Madison gets hurt, Garagos. Either you stay quiet and I take what I want gradually, or you make a scene and I burn everything down immediately. Either way, she loses. The only question is how much. Unless I'm recording this conversation. Tyler paused, then laughed. Are you? Let me see the recorder. I wasn't recording. I hadn't thought to prepare. That's what I thought. Tyler picked up his coffee, took a sip, then set it back down. One more thing. I know you've been digging into my background, called your FBI friend, hired a private investigator. You should know that I have sources too, people who tell me when someone's getting too curious. He leaned in close. Stay out of my way, or I'll make sure Madison believes you're not just a thief but a mentally unstable one. I have the resources to make that very convincing. He left. I sat there, staring at the documents he'd left behind, understanding that I was up against someone far more dangerous and prepared than I'd realized. My hands were shaking as I pulled out my phone and called my bank. The automated system connected me to a representative after a 5-minute wait. This is Garagos Mark. I need to verify some transactions on my account. I gave them the dates Tyler had shown me. The representative put me on hold, came back 3 minutes later. Mr. Mark, I'm showing several incoming transfers on those dates. Is there a problem? My stomach dropped. Can you tell me where they originated? One moment. They came from an LLC account, Carson and Associates Marketing Group. That's your daughter's company, correct? We have you listed as an authorized party on that account. I never authorized those transfers. Sir, they show your authorization code. If you're claiming fraud, we'll need to start a formal investigation. That typically takes 6 to 8 weeks. I have 3 days. I'm sorry, sir, but bank fraud investigations follow specific protocols. We can expedite, but even that would take 2 to 3 weeks minimum. I hung up, my mind racing. The transfers were real. Someone had used my actual authorization code. That meant either 1. Tyler had somehow obtained my banking credentials, or 2. Someone at the bank was helping him. I called Detective Foster next. James, I need you to dig deeper. Tyler confronted me this morning with evidence of embezzlement. It's fabricated, but it's sophisticated. Bank-level sophisticated. What do you mean? He has my actual authorization codes, real transfers showing in both accounts. Either he's hacked the banking system or he has inside help. Foster was quiet for a moment. Garagos, that's beyond my capabilities. You're talking about either serious cybercrime or bank employee corruption. You need law enforcement. I need answers in 3 days. Even if I work around the clock without legal authority to subpoena records or interview bank employees, I'm hitting walls everywhere I turn. His previous employers, dead ends, his references, all trace back to shell companies or disconnected numbers. The man's a ghost. There has to be something. There is, his real identity. But finding that requires resources I don't have. FBI databases, interstate crime records, facial recognition systems, that's federal territory. I called Agent Catherine Wells again, got her voicemail, left a message trying not to sound desperate and probably failing. She called back 2 hours later. Garagos, I got your message. I told you. Catherine, please, I'm not asking you to investigate a hunch anymore. Tyler confronted me today. He's running a sophisticated fraud operation, and he's about to propose to my daughter in 3 days. After that, he'll drain her company and disappear. What evidence do you have? Fabricated bank records showing I embezzled from Madison's company, but they're showing up as real transactions in the actual banking system. That requires either hacking capabilities or insider access. Catherine's tone shifted. Forward me everything you have, screenshots, documents, whatever Tyler gave you. You'll look into it? I'll review it. But Garagos, even if this is fraud, interstate crimes take time to investigate. If he's as sophisticated as you're saying, he won't have left obvious traces. We'd need wiretaps, surveillance, financial forensics, all of which require warrants, which require probable cause, which requires more than suspected bank fraud. So you can't help. I didn't say that. Send me what you have. I'll run it past our financial crimes unit. But I need you to understand that law enforcement moves slowly for good reasons. We build cases that hold up in court. That takes time you might not have. I sent her everything. Then I sat in my study, surrounded by documents and dead ends, watching the clock tick toward the launch party. 2 days left, no concrete evidence, no way to prove Tyler was lying. And if I confronted Madison now, she'd think I was having a breakdown. Tyler had outmaneuvered me at every turn. That's when I made my biggest mistake. I decided to confront Madison anyway. I drove to Madison's loft at 7 p.m. knowing she'd be home. She answered the door in yoga pants and a sweatshirt, hair up in a messy bun, looking tired. Dad, what are you doing here? We need to talk about Tyler. Her expression closed immediately. Dad, I told you. Madison, please, just listen, 5 minutes. She sighed but let me in. Her loft was beautiful. Exposed brick, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, modern furniture. Tyler's things were everywhere now, his jacket on the coat rack, his shoes by the door, his laptop on the coffee table. We sat on her couch, and I tried to find the right words. Tyler isn't who he says he is. I've been investigating him. You what? Madison stood up, her face flushing with anger. You hired someone to investigate my boyfriend? I had to. Something wasn't adding up. You had no right. What is wrong with you? Madison, listen to me. His background doesn't check out. His identity only goes back 5 years. His business credentials can't be verified. And today, he confronted me with fabricated evidence claiming I embezzled from your company. Oh my God, Madison put her hands to her face. Tyler warned me. He said you might do this. Tyler warned you? He said you were having trouble accepting that I'm an adult with my own life. That you might try to sabotage our relationship because you can't handle not being the most important man in my life anymore. The words hit like a physical blow. Tyler had predicted this exact scenario and preemptively poisoned Madison against believing anything I said. Sweetheart, I'm not trying to control you. I'm trying to protect you. From what? From being happy? From having a partner who actually believes in my work? From a con artist who's positioning himself to steal everything you've built? Listen to yourself, Madison's voice broke. You sound paranoid. Conspiracy theories about fake identities and embezzlement plots. Dad, this isn't you. I don't know what this is, but you need help. I need you to trust me. I trusted you when you said you'd give Tyler a chance. I trusted you when you said you just wanted me to be careful. But this? She gestured at me, tears forming. Hiring investigators, calling the FBI, making up insane accusations? This isn't caring. This is obsession. The FBI? How do you know I called the FBI? Tyler told me. He has friends there. Someone mentioned that you'd inquired about him. He thought it was sweet at first, overprotective dad running a background check, but this has gone way too far. Tyler had sources at the FBI. Of course he did. That's how he'd known I was investigating. Madison, please, I think you should leave. Sweetheart, get out! I'd never heard her scream at me like that, never seen that look in her eyes, the look that said she was seeing a stranger instead of her father. I left, sat in my car outside her building for an hour, watching her windows. Saw Tyler arrive around 8:30, probably having been updated by Madison immediately. Saw their silhouettes as he hugged her, probably comforting her about her unstable father. Tyler had won this round completely. He'd isolated Madison from the one person who could expose him, and he'd done it so skillfully that she'd helped him do it. I drove home with less than 48 hours until the launch party, no evidence that would hold up, no way to reach my daughter, and no idea how to stop what was coming. That's when my phone rang. Detective Foster. Garagos, I found something. It's not much, but it might be a thread we can pull. I nearly ran off the road answering the phone. What did you find? Remember those photos you took of Tyler with that woman at the coffee shop? I enhanced them, got a clear image of her face and the ring she was wearing. And? The ring has an engraving. I could only make out 2 letters, E and H, so I started searching. Every woman with those initials in the Pacific Northwest who'd reported fraud, identity theft, or financial crimes in the past 3 years. How many? 87. But I cross-referenced with descriptions matching Tyler's appearance and behavior patterns. That narrowed it to 3 possibilities. One of them, Elise Harper from Seattle, her case file mentioned something interesting. The man who defrauded her used the name Cameron Drake, but she claimed he had multiple identities. She's been trying to track him for over a year. My heart was pounding. Do you have contact information? I do. But Garagos, it's almost midnight. You can't just call someone about their traumatic fraud experience at this hour. Give me your number. Foster hesitated, then sent it. I didn't wait. I called immediately. A woman answered on the 3rd ring, voice cautious. Hello? Ms. Harper, my name is Garagos Mark. I'm sorry to call so late, but I think your ex-fiancé Cameron Drake is currently engaged to my daughter under a different name. Silence. Then, what name is he using now? Tyler Blake. Where? Portland. Another pause. I'll meet you. Where are you? I can drive to Seattle, tonight. No, I'll come to you. I've been waiting for this call for 14 months. Give me your address. I'll be there in 3 hours. Elise Harper arrived at 2 in the morning, driving a silver Lexus and carrying a leather portfolio thick with documents. She was 38, blonde, with the kind of hollow eyes that came from deep betrayal. We sat in my study, and she laid out her evidence across my desk. Cameron Drake. That's what he called himself when we met at a tech industry mixer in Seattle, March of last year. Serial entrepreneur, sold 2 companies, looking for his next venture. Sound familiar? Very. We dated for 4 months. He moved in after 6 weeks, started getting involved in my business. I owned a real estate development company, had $400,000 in capital for a new project. He convinced me to make him a signatory, said it would help with cash flow while I was traveling for property acquisitions. Well, the pattern was identical. What happened? 3 weeks before we were supposed to close on our biggest deal, my accountant came to me with concerns, said there were irregularities in the books. Before I could investigate, Cameron beat me to it. He accused my accountant of embezzling, had documents, transfer records, everything. It created complete chaos in the company. While everyone was focused on the embezzlement accusation, he transferred $200,000 and disappeared. By the time I realized what happened, Cameron Drake had vanished, no trace. Police found his identity was fabricated. Credit history only went back a few years. Previous companies couldn't be verified. She pulled out photos, images of Cameron Drake, who looked exactly like Tyler Blake. Same man, different name, different victims. I didn't stop looking, Elise continued. I couldn't. I hired investigators, scoured news reports, connected with other victims. Found 4 more women across 3 states. Same pattern every time. Different names, different identities, but always the same playbook. She spread more photos across my desk. Tyler/Cameron with different women, different cities, different lives. This one, Patricia Lawson, tech CEO in California. He's using the name Ethan Cross. They're currently engaged. I tried to warn her 6 months ago. She thought I was a crazy ex-girlfriend stalking her fiancé. Another photo. Jennifer Wu, Arizona. He married her as Ryan Mitchell, took half her inheritance before disappearing. That was 8 months ago. Texas, 2 years back. Real estate fraud under a name we never identified. Victim lost her entire company. How is this possible? How does he keep getting away with it? Because he's smart. He targets successful, independent women in different states. No overlap, no connections between victims. He uses sophisticated identity theft, purchase documents, established credit histories. And he's always gone before anyone can build a case. By the time victims realize what happened, he's 3 states away with a new name. My phone buzzed. Catherine Wells, the FBI agent, finally responding to my earlier messages. I showed Elise. I have an FBI contact. Will you talk to her? I've talked to the FBI, local police, state investigators. Everyone says the same thing. Without catching him in the act, there's not enough evidence for interstate charges. What if we could catch him? In the act? Elise's eyes sharpened. How much time do we have? 36 hours. He's proposing to my daughter at her company launch party. After that, he'll have everything he needs to drain her accounts. Elise opened her portfolio again, pulling out a burner phone and a sealed evidence bag. I kept this. Found it in Cameron's, Tyler's apartment after he left. It has encrypted messages I couldn't crack, contacts with names I didn't recognize. If we can decrypt it. I called Catherine Wells. She answered, groggy with sleep. Garagos, it's 2 a.m. I have a victim, multiple victims. Interstate fraud, identity theft, racketeering. He's been operating across 4 states under different names, and I can deliver him to you in 36 hours. That woke her up. Agent Catherine Wells looked at the evidence Elise and I had brought like a detective who'd just found the missing piece of a cold case. Derek Thornton, she said, pulling up a file on her computer. That's his real name, age 41. We've been tracking him for 18 months. She turned the monitor toward us. A mugshot of Tyler, or Derek, from a Nevada arrest 5 years ago. Wire fraud, identity theft. He'd served 2 years, been released on parole, then disappeared. After Nevada, we lost him. He got better at covering his tracks. We knew he was operating in the Pacific Northwest, but couldn't pin down his current identity or location. Now you know, I said. Catherine pulled up more files. With Elise's testimony and the evidence you've provided, we have enough for an arrest warrant. But, she held up a hand before I could celebrate, if we arrest him now, his lawyer will have him out on bail within 24 hours. He'll disappear again. We need him on record admitting to active fraud, something that makes him a flight risk, something that convinces a judge to deny bail. He confessed to me yesterday, I said, told me his whole plan. Without recording, it's hearsay. We need audio or video evidence of him admitting to ongoing criminal activity. The launch party, Elise said. He'll be surrounded by witnesses, no easy escape. Catherine nodded slowly. If we can get him on tape admitting to fraud, we can make the arrest there. Public setting prevents him from running. Multiple witnesses corroborate the confession. So I wear a wire. It's risky, Garagos. Men like Derek are professionals at reading people. If he suspects you're recording, he won't. How can you be sure? Because he thinks he's already won. He's convinced Madison I'm having a breakdown. He believes I'm isolated, desperate, and out of options. His ego won't let him see the trap. Catherine looked at Elise. Are you willing to testify? Publicly? I've been waiting for this for 14 months. Then we have a plan. Catherine pulled out paperwork. But I need you to understand, this is dangerous. Derek has become physically aggressive when cornered before. One victim in Texas reported he threatened her when she discovered his scheme. I'll take the risk. We'll have agents at the party, undercover. If things go wrong, they'll intervene. But Garagos, her expression was serious. You'll be alone with him until he confesses. And if he realizes what's happening before we get what we need, he could hurt you. He could hurt Madison. Or he could simply walk away and we lose him forever. I thought about Madison. Thought about About the look in her eyes when she'd screamed at me to leave. About Derek's cold smile as he'd told me exactly how he was going to destroy my daughter's life. When do we start? I met Catherine at the FBI field office at noon. She fitted me with a recording device, not the bulky equipment from movies, but a device small enough to hide in my shirt collar, disguised as a button. It's voice-activated, she explained. Transmission range of 300 feet. We'll have receivers set up around the gallery. Whatever you say, we'll hear. 4 agents would attend the party undercover. Agent Tom Brooks and his wife Lisa, posing as potential investors. Agent Jennifer Park, posing as a photographer hired by the event company. Agent David Miller, working with the actual catering staff. They'll be spread throughout the venue, Catherine said. Once Derek confesses, I'll give the signal and they'll move in for the arrest. What if he doesn't confess? Then we have Plan B. Arrest him for identity theft based on Elise's evidence and the Nevada warrant, but without the confession, his lawyers might get charges reduced. We need him admitting to active fraud conspiracy. They made me practice. Catherine played Derek, threw every curveball she could think of. What if he asks if you're recording? I'll deny it. What if he demands to search you? I'll refuse and create a scene. You move in. What if he tries to leave before confessing? I'll block him, force the confrontation. We ran through scenarios for 2 hours. By the time we finished, I was exhausted. You ready? Catherine asked. I thought about Madison, about the life Derek was planning to steal from her, about every victim Elise had shown me, women whose trust had been weaponized against them. I'm ready. The launch party was everything Madison had dreamed of. The gallery space had been transformed with her company's new branding. Clean, modern, professional. 150 guests filled the room. Investors in business casual, clients comparing notes, Madison's employees proud of what they'd built. Madison looked beautiful in a navy dress, her hair up, professional but elegant. She was glowing with excitement, moving through the crowd, thanking people for coming. Tyler stood beside her in a charcoal suit, playing the perfect supportive partner. Shaking hands, charming investors, positioning himself as her equal in every way. I arrived at 7:15. Madison saw me across the room. Our eyes met, and I saw conflict there, hurt from our fight, but also the daughter who still wanted her father at her proudest moment. I made my way to her. Madison? Dad. A stiff hug. I wasn't sure you'd come. I wouldn't miss this. Tyler approached, hand extended, smile perfect. Garagos, good to see you. I shook his hand, feeling the recording device against my chest, knowing Catherine and her team were listening to every word. Tyler, we need to talk, privately. His eyes flickered. Calculation, curiosity, confidence. Of course, there's a terrace out back, quieter. We moved through the crowd, past Agent Brooks pretending to examine Madison's portfolio displays, past Agent Park adjusting her camera, past Agent Miller refilling champagne glasses. Tyler opened the door to the back terrace. Portland's skyline glittered in the evening light. We were alone. He turned to face me, and his smile had changed. No more pretense, just cold confidence. You came to surrender, he said. Smart choice. I pulled out my phone, opened the photo gallery Elise had sent me. Images of Derek Thornton's other victims. I know who you are, Derek. And that's when everything changed. Tyler's smile vanished when I said his real name. I don't know what you're talking about. Derek Thornton, age 41, Nevada wire fraud conviction 2019. FBI's been tracking you for 18 months. He laughed, but it rang hollow. You're really committed to this delusion. Elise Harper sends her regards, says hello from Cameron Drake. His mask cracked. Just for a second, I saw rage and fear before he recovered. Elise is mentally unstable. She's been stalking me, making false accusations. What about Patricia Lawson in California, Jennifer Wu in Arizona, the Texas real estate developer? I held up my phone, showing photos Elise had provided. FBI has connected you to 7 victims across 4 states, same pattern every time. Derek's eyes flickered to my chest, calculating. Then he relaxed against the railing, that cold smile returning. You're recording this. Smart. I underestimated you, Garagos. The admission caught me off guard. I'd expected denial, not acceptance. So you admit it. You're Derek Thornton, running cons across multiple states. I admit nothing that will hold up in court. He pulled out his phone. But here's what I have. Documents ready to send to every investor in that room, every business publication, every regulatory agency. The screen showed files. Money_laundering_evidence.pdf. SEC_violations_report.pdf. IRS_fraud_documentation.pdf. Evidence that Madison's company has been laundering money. All fake, but detailed enough to trigger investigations. SEC freezes her accounts. IRS launches audits. Investors pull out. Even when she's cleared months later, her company's destroyed. His thumb hovered over send. Tell your FBI friends to back off, or I burn Madison's business to the ground before your recording ever sees a courtroom. Standoff. Through the glass, Catherine Wells waited for my signal. But if Derek sent those files, Madison lost everything anyway. Why, I asked, buying time. Why Madison? Why any of them? Something broke through his facade. Because women like her are easy. Ambitious, driven, blind to what's in front of them. They want someone who believes in them. I give them that fantasy. They give me everything else. You ruined their lives. I took what they failed to protect. That's natural selection. His voice hardened. I had a real company once. Real success. Market crashed. Investors pulled out. I lost everything. My wife left, took my kids. These women have opportunities handed to them. Venture capital, family support, safety nets I never had. Taking from them is redistribution. No remorse, just cold justification. You're going to prison, Derek. Maybe, but not before I destroy your daughter's life. Call off the FBI, let me walk, and Madison keeps her company. Force my arrest and I send these files. You have 10 seconds. 9. Through the window, Madison laughed with investors, oblivious. 8. Catherine met my eyes from across the gallery. 7. 6. The terrace door opened. Madison stepped out, phone recording. You don't need to count anymore, Derek. I've heard enough. Derek's expression cycled through shock, calculation, fury. He shifted to concerned boyfriend mode. Madison, sweetheart, your father's been harassing me. I know, I've been recording too. The past 10 minutes, everything. Derek stared. You, what? I've been inside that doorway listening. Your confession, your threats, your admission about the other victims, all recorded. I looked at my daughter, stunned. Madison, how? 2 weeks ago, your lawyer, Joshua Bennett, contacted me about verifying partnership documents. But I never told anyone except you about them. It made me wonder why your lawyer needed to verify documents he drafted. She took a breath. So I hired my own investigator. Found out Bennett isn't licensed in Oregon, found irregularities in the paperwork, found questions I didn't want to ask. Derek's mask dropped completely. Then, Dad confronted me. I screamed at him to leave, but afterward I couldn't stop questioning. This morning, I saw Dad meeting an FBI agent, followed them, heard enough to know it was real. She looked at me, tears streaming. I'm sorry I didn't tell you, Dad. I needed to hear it myself. To Derek. So I came early, positioned myself by that door, waited, and listened to you confess everything. Agent Catherine Wells stepped onto the terrace, badge out. Derek Thornton, FBI, you're under arrest for wire fraud, identity theft, interstate racketeering. Derek didn't resist, just stared at Madison with grudging respect. You're smarter than I thought. I loved you, I trusted you. I would have given you everything. I know, that's what made it work. Agent Brooks examined Derek's phone. Money laundering documents, SEC violations, IRS fraud, all queued to send to 47 recipients, investors, regulators, media. Catherine turned to Madison. Did he send any? No. I have screenshots from my recording showing files prepared but not sent. Attempted extortion. We'll add it to charges. Derek laughed bitterly. You stopped one con artist, but there are hundreds like me. The game continues. Maybe, Madison said, but you won't be playing. As they led him away, Derek looked back. For what it's worth, parts were real. My feelings for you. I wasn't lying about everything. Madison didn't respond, just watched him disappear. Most guests had left. Investors had stayed, surprisingly supportive. Vincent Crawford told Madison her father's swift action showed excellent judgment. Madison and I sat on a bench in the corner, the same bench that would become permanent in her office. Silence. I feel like the stupidest person alive. You're human. Derek's done this to 7 other women, professionals. He knew exactly what to say. I gave him everything, signed documents without legal review. You warned me and I blew you off. You chose independence. Your right to make decisions. Those aren't bad things. Even wrong decisions? Especially then. You're allowed to trust people who don't deserve it. That doesn't make you weak. She leaned her head on my shoulder. When I was listening on that terrace, hearing him talk about destroying my company, about those other women, I was terrified, not just of losing my business, but of how completely I'd been fooled. You were targeted by someone who spent years perfecting this. Patricia Rosewood approached. Madison, I've reviewed everything. The partnership agreement is void. Bennett isn't licensed, making contracts invalid. Derek didn't transfer any money yet. He was still setting up. Your business is intact. Agent Wells joined us. Derek will be arraigned tomorrow. Bail will likely be denied, but he'll have good lawyers. They'll try to discredit witnesses. You'll need to testify at trial. I will. Those other women deserve justice. Catherine nodded with respect. Our victim services coordinator will contact you tomorrow. Madison turned to me. I owe you more than an apology. You risked our relationship to save me. That's what fathers do. No, that's what good fathers do. She cried, really cried, deep sobs of grief and relief and rage. When she pulled back, she managed a small smile. Can we go home? Of course. At the doorway, Madison paused, looking back at the gallery. I'm going to buy this building, turn it into my company headquarters. I won't let him take this night from me. I'm going to transform it into something better. I looked at my daughter, devastated but not broken, already planning how to heal. That sounds perfect. A year changes everything. The gallery was now Madison's thriving headquarters. Tonight, another celebration. Same space, same people, completely different energy. Portland's fastest-growing marketing agency. Madison addressed the crowd. A year ago, this room witnessed what I thought was complete failure. But how we respond to betrayal matters more than the betrayal itself. She looked at me. I need to thank my father, Garagos Mark. He saved my business and my life by being vigilant and brave. Dad, thank you for never giving up on me, even when I gave up on you. Applause, tears in my eyes. Later, on that same bench, now permanent, refurbished. Derek's parole hearing was denied. He'll serve the full 15 years. Good. 8 victims testified. I was number 9. His lawyer claimed we were all vindictive exes. Jury deliberated 40 minutes before convicting on all counts. How do you feel? I sent him a letter. I forgive you, but I'll never forget. Forgiving doesn't mean excusing, just means I won't let him control my emotions. I studied my daughter. Stronger, wiser, still kind. Your mother asked if you're dating. Madison laughed. There is someone. Kevin. Met him at a conference 3 months ago. Nice, stable, boring in the best way. Boring sounds perfect. He passed the background check I ran, and the second one, and the reference calls. She smiled. He knows why I do it, doesn't get defensive, appreciates that I'm careful. I'd like to meet him. Sunday dinner this week, but Dad, please don't hire a private investigator immediately. Third date? We laughed, and it felt like healing. The bench, I said. Why keep it? Because this is where we sat after the worst night of my life, where you told me I wasn't stupid for trusting someone, where I realized people who love us aren't controlling us when they express concern, they're protecting us. She leaned her head on my shoulder. This bench reminds me bad moments can lead to better days, that hitting bottom doesn't mean staying there, and that family means someone who fights for you even when you push them away. Comfortable silence as celebration continued around us. Derek Thornton was in prison. His victims were rebuilding. Madison's company thrived, but more than that, my daughter and I sat together, closer, stronger. Madison looked up. You know the best part? What? I still believe in people. More careful, more skeptical, but not cynical. Derek didn't take that from me. I kissed her head. That's my girl. As sun set over Portland, I thought about lessons learned. Being a good father sometimes means being unpopular. Trust should be earned, not freely given. Love welcomes questions. Manipulation resists them. The strongest relationships survive being tested. Madison stood, returned to her guests, to her company, her future, her life. I stayed on the bench, watching her laugh with her team, confident and whole. Some nights I still thought about that terrace moment when Derek's face went white, the shock, how close we'd come to losing everything. But mostly I thought about Sunday dinners, about Madison's laugh, about how she asked, "Dad, what's your take?" and actually listened. Derek Thornton thought he was smarter than everyone, thought he could manipulate and steal without consequences. He was wrong. Madison Mark had proven the best revenge wasn't destruction. It was survival, success, the refusal to let betrayal define you. I walked back into the celebration, into the company Madison built, into the life Derek tried to destroy and failed. Some stories end in tragedy. This one ended in triumph.